My name is Leila Kanani. I'm a patent attorney. After 10 years in big law, I left to start a family, and I also left to start my own practice. So I know a lot about what I'm going to be talking here to you about today. The National Association of Women Lawyers said that 15% of the equity partners in AmLaw 200 law firms are women. That's a pretty depressing number when you think about it. To help explain this a little bit better, I'm going to take you to Beijing in 1995. This was the 4th annual conference for the status of women. The goal of the conference was onefold. Their entire goal was to raise the gender disparity on the international scale, and they came to one conclusion, and that conclusion was that 30% of the governing bodies of every organization should be women in order to have some meaningful impact. This 30% was really seen as a tipping point. And it's used around the world to this day, where countries rely on it in all of their decision-making organizations. Turning to present-day law firms. Most law firms these days do have women on their governing committees. However, it really hasn't done much other than to change the disparity in pay between men and women. It hasn't done much in order to help retention of women in these firms. So while there are women in their governing committees, and sometimes even as much as 30%, it really hasn't done much in order to help the retention of women. So why are women leaving, you may say? Well, women leave, a lot of us know, for a lot of the reasons that have to do with family. There's lots of women initiative groups in these law firms, and all they do is they sit there and try to figure out how can we get these women to not leave these law firms. But unfortunately, they haven't been very successful. These task forces and these retention women initiative groups haven't done much in order to solve this problem that we're having. So again, women leave because they want to start a family. They work for these big law firms. They have these 2,000 hours to meet, and they don't want to work these hours. But they also don't want to give up their practice. They want to be able to do something to retain their practice. I've talked to a number of them. And unfortunately, most of them end up leaving because there is nothing other than going and maybe starting a solo practice for them to be able to retain their practice. In my opinion, women lawyers are the fortune tellers of the future. They see that the traditional business models of these law firms are not good enough for them to be able to have this practice that they want to have. They're not flexible enough, so that's why they leave. So what can you do? You know, they have these women, they have these incredible credentials, they have this incredible work experience, but they also want to retain their practice. So it's either leaving or, sometimes starting a solo practice. So traditionally, what you could do was start a solo practice, but that included having to get office space, get secretaries, get a lease. It was very expensive, it wasn't very flexible, and it's really not conducive to someone that's just about to start a family. But that was in the old days, and I think these days the times are changing, and technology is changing that. These women already possess the substantive legal skills and the ability to work with clients effectively. Technology is not a substitute for lack of skill. And with technology, you can do a lot. You can start your own practice, you can retain your own clients, you can have software that's going to do everything for you up in the cloud, and that's why these women have this choice out in front of them. It gives them the flexibility that they're looking for. Technology equals flexibility. There's cloud-based software that these days allows you to do everything. Everything from project management to document management, as well as email servers. Everything is online. So while you can't have a solo practice, what I think would be a better fit was to have a multi-lawyer, distributed, multi-jurisdiction law firm, and these women should band together to form these. This cloud-based software is there to help them out. They can have the Box.net, for example, or Dropbox. You can have Clio that manages your accounts on the web. And all of this is available to these women, and all they need is just a little bit of help to get it going. Other cloud-based software that they can use, for example, is things like FaceTime and Google Plus for Hangouts to be able to effectively work with their clients. The virtual law firm is the place for these women to be able to do this. Again, you can either have a solo practice, but if instead you had a multi-jurisdiction, multi-lawyer practice, it would be a lot easier for them to still be able to retain their clients and retain their current value of what their clients want to do. With these multi-jurisdiction, multi-lawyer law firms, women can effectively work together. They don't have to be a solo practitioner. They can work together virtually in the confines of wherever they practice best. And if you ask about networking or business development, well, you may not be able to do it in the traditional sense, but you can do it through social media and online. And it may be a little bit harder than you could imagine, but you can still do it, and you can still do it from the confines of your own home or from your home office. So, and the last thing that is important in all this is that these multi-lawyer, multi-jurisdictional law firms have to make sure to have 50% of the governing committees be filled with women. That way you won't run into the same problems that you've run into by all the other traditional law firms that exist to this day. Remember, change is good, and as far as big law, whenever it's changing, whenever that will be, it doesn't matter, because as long as you have virtual law firms, you can have these multi-lawyer, multi-jurisdictional practices, and these women can go out together, get their clients, retain their clients, get new clients, and not wait for big law to have to change. So change is ahead, and change is always good. Thank you.